Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Fun Speculation. Thanks for tuning in tonight for this Sunday night thing we got going on lately. Another Sunday night kind of impromptu stream. Maybe gonna start making this a regular thing. I kind of like to wind down the weekend with a nice chill stream, hang out, talk gaming, talk Xbox with you guys, chill and chat. And this show, I'm gonna be talking a lot about this one article that's popped up that we saw. I saw it. I know I think Colt made a video about this. I heard he did, but I haven't seen that video yet. But besides that, also I saw that maybe some podcasts are going to be having this as a topic soon, and I have not maybe not going to have a chance to talk about it till hang out with my other buddies on FSP tomorrow night. But I wanted to go ahead and touch base on this thing because it's absolutely ridiculous. More media bias showing up as usual. And this comes for the way of DualShockers. But before we get into that, I want to say hello to the amazing chat. I see Tom from Toonami hanging out. It says, love these Sunday streams. Appreciate that, Tom. Love you guys hanging out for these Sunday streams. RSJ says, this is an interesting headline. Yeah, we got media crying. Now, we predicted this, right? The closer that this acquisition is to going through, the more and more it seems like it is going through, you're going to start to see probably more crying, more media come out trying to speak against this thing. And this is something that was published, I guess, a few days back that I just caught wind of. So I'm interested to talk about that with you guys. So up to Why So Serious? How's it going? Talos Re, what's up? Let's see. King J79, how's it going? MR2, what up? What up? Says hello, my fellow ponies. I don't know how many of those you'll see around here. Appreciate you hanging out. Ray Oid, what's up? How are you doing? Hope you're all having a fantastic Sunday night. Also, want to give a huge shout out to my wife, Caitlin, because she's been hard at work today. We've been meaning to revamp our store. This is a little bit of a shill thing, right? But we've been trying to revamp our store and our merch shop for a while now, and she's been so busy doing so much stuff that she hadn't really had a chance to. But today she buckled down and got it finished. So we kind of have like a relaunch of the Fun Speculation Shop with all brand new merch in there. Also lowered the prices on everything. So it's like most of the stuff is really affordable and lowered it to about as much as we can on the storefront. So I'm going to show you guys a little preview of that, and I'll put a link into the chat. And maybe during the stream later, I'll kind of go to the website and kind of show some of the stuff off because I'm proud of what she's created for us. I love what she does for everything she does for this channel. But let's get into some gaming news first, right? And I want to get into this topic with this article from DualShockers. And man, this is pretty crazy. The interesting thing, if you see like more published things, like they're all over the place, right? One of the recommended articles that they had was Sony should make their own game instead of relying on Call of Duty. So it's like, what opinion do they have? They're just publishing random articles that completely contradict each other. But this one, I'm going to read this article from DualShockers and we'll kind of pick it apart. Jay, what's up to Jay? Says, I literally open YouTube right when fun starts. My lucky day. Yeah, appreciate you hanging out. Everybody, thanks for being here. Yeah, Bach, it's the DualShockers article. It says, gamers don't win with Microsoft's Active Blizz merger. Microsoft's gone too far this time. That's what DualShockers says. Now let's pick this thing apart because I kind of scrolled through and I was reading some of this stuff that they had listed here, and I was like, what is he talking about? Like, what is this? What is this stuff they're talking about? This a lot of stuff doesn't make sense. So let's dive in here. Right away, let's get at this article. It says, the game industry is no stranger to mergers. Microsoft, in particular, has made some huge moves in gaming, buying out big players such as Mojang, Obsidian, and Bethesda. However, though, I personally think the conglomerate passed the too far mark decades ago. So they passed the too far mark with gaming decades ago? So they passed the too far mark since they've existed? How does that make any damn sense? Because they've only been around since like 2001, right? Or 2002, something like that. 2001, 2002. I can't remember. But they've passed the too far mark decades ago. That's the first red flag. Because that absolutely means like nothing. When they were just trying to enter the gaming space and PlayStation had the PS2 out there that was completely insanely dominating everything else on the market, Microsoft passed the too far mark then? Okay. That's just a weird statement. I don't get it. The entire industry has been making a fuss about their latest venture. That's another inaccurate statement. The entire industry has been making a fuss about this. Now, I look at this and I say making a fuss is like upset about it. But like when we saw the responses to the regulators that are actually overseeing these things, it's actually been overwhelmingly, okay, sure, that's fine. In fact, a lot of the publishers said it's good for gaming. So what entire industry has been making a fuss? Are you talking about fellow journalists? If you're talking about fellow journalists in the gaming media has been making a fuss about it, I agree with that. I do not agree with the entire industry has been making a fuss about it. Didn't the CMA post responses from a bunch of publishers and they all said it was fine? In fact, really the only two challengers in this entire thing have been Google and PlayStation. Nvidia used to be kind of against it, but then they end up signing that 10-year deal. Now they're all for it. So what entire industry are you speaking of? Even the CMA posted responses from the public and random responses sent into them regarding what the public feels about it. And 75% of those were positive for the acquisition. So what entire industry has been making a fuss about this? Maybe I'm misunderstanding what you mean by fuss. If you mean fuss talking about it, yeah, that's fine because it's a fucking huge deal. Of course, people are going to talk about it. It's one of the biggest mergers in gaming history. But I don't see a lot of complaining except from people like you. That being their plans to buy out Activision Blizzard for a whopping $68.7 billion back in January 2022. So, yeah, again, just already, we're only, like a couple of sentences in, and we've already filled up with inaccuracies here. Sup, Snooky Jackson says, what's up, Mav, my gaming brother? Did you see my home state team LSU won the championship in the Big D in your hometown? Congrats for LSU. I was watching some of the Rangers game, so I didn't see any of the highlights or anything of that. But congrats for LSU fans out there. I personally have been grieving as a diehard Mavericks fan because my Mavs are tanking now. They've gone to the tanking phase. They realize that this season ain't shit. They got Kyrie for nothing. Kyrie went dark today on Twitter, you guys. I know I just shifted the focus to sports, but he made his Twitter account private today. Fucking crazy. I don't know what's happening. Luka looks sad all the time. Kyrie went dark on Twitter, made his account private, and we just like that last game against the Heat last night. They just like gave up. They didn't even try to win at the end. You could like see it's just, as a Mavs fan, this was the worst season, and since Dirk was a Maverick, which is a long time ago, the last season, fucking crazy. It's embarrassing. Anyway, moving on. Back to this article. Shout out to Fonz. Great show today, Fonz. I saw that. He said, and Google is only going after cloud stuff, not the ABK deal. Yeah, and they were also shot down by regulators. Google's complaints were disregarded and found to be unworthy. Now PlayStation's complaints have been found to be unworthy as well. So really, there's no fuss. There's no fuss except for the regulators trying to get remedies or whatever they can get. The FTC, not the industry. All right, so let's get back into this stupid article. All right, so despite costing more than the GDP of a good couple countries, what you're gonna like go after Microsoft for being a rich company now? Okay, what does that have to do with gaming? Microsoft stands to make their money back, acquiring franchises such as Call of Duty, Candy Crush, Overwatch, Warcraft, Diablo, and more. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna love getting those games in Game Pass. However, gamers stand to lose a good deal from this merger. Okay, what? Even those of us using Microsoft subscription service Game Pass, which would inevitably bundle most of these games in a subscription fee, right? So you said we're going to lose a good deal, but then we're also going to get these games in Game Pass. To me, that sounds like a good thing. Contradictory again, which leaves no logical thinking here. With significant dilution of competition and increased power for Microsoft. Where does Microsoft stand in the gaming space right now? They are far behind Sony. Is it okay for Microsoft to have increased power if you're doing that to better compete with a company like PlayStation? I would say so. Anyway, I guess this person does not. They just want Microsoft to be second, third place, whatever, right? This acquisition will give the tech giant even greater sway in the market, and if this is where it gets even more ridiculous. This acquisition will give the tech giant even greater sway in the market in a fashion similar to Disney's near monopoly in film, spelling nothing good for anyone who isn't at the top of the corporate food chain. Okay, so Disney's near monopoly in film. Now let's get into that. Okay. So he's comparing Microsoft to Disney here. Disney was able to acquire Fox. They had to split off a couple things like Fox Sports and News. Otherwise than that, they pretty much got all of Fox. But do they have a monopoly or a near monopoly over film? I mean, the last I checked, there's a lot of movies that come out that are not Disney. In fact, there's also several streaming services that are not Disney that also have lots of movies. There's a lot of options when it comes to movies. A lot of different tastes. Now, if you're going to say they have big franchises like Star Wars and Marvel. That's cool. But a lot of companies have a lot of other shit too. That like there's nowhere near a monopoly in film. You could say Disney owns so much shit and you don't like them owning stuff because you think they water down stuff. I mean, you can say that, like they Disneyfy things. If you want to make a complaint about some of that you can make an argument for it probably. But to say they have a near monopoly in film, like if we look at the movie theater list right now of movies that are out, probably like one Disney movie. I don't get this at all. Spelling nothing good for anyone who isn't at the top of the corporate food chain. For starters, according to data from GameIndustry.biz, GameIndustry.biz has been making a lot of positive ABK acquisition articles. Microsoft and Activision are both in the top 10 biggest game companies by revenue, with this top 10 making up 65% of the market as of 2021. So the top 10 make up 65% of the market. Okay, so the other 35% is made up of shit ton of other companies. As if it wasn't enough for the industry to already be so heavily concentrated. Again, oh my God, heavily concentrated. Really? God, this article is just so bad and so full of inaccuracies all over the place. All right, we got Ubisoft, EA, ABK, Take-Two, Square Enix, Capcom, Ubisoft. Let's see, Embracer Group. Jeez, let's see who else is there. Sega, Bandai Namco. Well, that's like probably what, like randomly like 8. Garcia, I do remember the movie. I can't tell you what happened at the beginning, but yeah, I used to love those movies. Leslie Nielsen. Those are just randomly off the top of my head. It was just, okay, it's Tencent, then you got PlayStation, you got Nintendo, right? Then you have companies that make a shit ton off of gaming without really making games, with like Apple and Google. Amazon's in the gaming space now as a publisher. They're even publishing Tomb Raider. We're talking about heavily concentrated. Okay, so those are just some of the big players. Okay, what about Nexon, Nacon, Hoyoverse, or Hoyo, whatever the fuck they're called. I mean, you could go on and name probably like 100 different publishers, and new development studios all the time. Just in this last 2 or 3 months, we got like probably 4 or 5 different new studio announcements from devs that form new studios. There's the ex-Battlefield devs, Lars making a new studio. There's 2 different studios were formed from former Playground developers. All the time this is happening. Like, what are we talking about? Heavily concentrated. Anyway, this merger would put a truly ridiculous amount of power in the palms of Microsoft, especially considering how they already own the biggest video game franchise of all time, Minecraft, which they do. People forget that, as well as all of Bethesda, which owns properties like Fallout, The Elder Scrolls, Doom, Arcane, Starfield, and many more. Disney has shown how this centralization can be bad for an industry. Okay? Due to diminished competition and furthered power, these entertainment oligarchs can easily flood the market with subpar content. I don't know, like, Disney hits and misses, but I wouldn't say like Disney's just full of subpar content. For me, a lot of people still love the MCU. Last year, people really praised Shang-Chi. You had Doctor Strange was really good. You also had Ant-Man came out. It didn't hit as much as they wanted to. Mandalorian is fire again. There's a lot of hits. They have misses as well, but you're gonna say that everything's subpar? I wouldn't say that. Okay, so let's get back into this. Especially considering how I already read that part. Such as what's happened with the excessive content turned out of Disney Plus in regard to their Marvel and Star Wars IPs, much of which has received a lukewarm reception. Yeah, in my opinion, if Disney didn't own those things, we still wouldn't even be getting those shows. So for me, it's like if some of them are hitting or some of them aren't, I'm still glad that they're trying to make these shows, right? Marvel, before Disney acquired them, how much content were we getting Marvel? I fucking love, honestly, the amount of stuff we got from Marvel, personally. Anyway, Activision Blizzard has a dubious reputation when it comes to monetization in its games. Okay, from popularizing pseudo gambling in games with Overwatch's loot boxes. First off, the Overwatch loot boxes was way overblown. And it was just cosmetic shit. But anyway, now it's free to play game. But to putting microtransactions on the remaster of Modern Warfare, not only a game with an upfront charge, but one that was nearly 10 years old at the time. So we're criticizing Microsoft. How about Microsoft maybe make some of these practices better? Activision has made strides in video game penny pinching and received relatively little heat compared to a company like EA. Not to be outdone, Microsoft set the tone for the in-game economies of the current and last generation, while Sony and Nintendo were releasing critically acclaimed first-party titles. So, okay, here we go. Now we're calling Microsoft the economy machine, where you're basically saying that they're just relying on monetization and practices, while Sony and Nintendo were releasing critically acclaimed titles. So you just, again, gave us a reason why Microsoft should be going after ABK. Because they can have more critically acclaimed titles. This is just full of just bullshit after bullshit after bullshit. Microsoft has released games like Rise, Sun, and Rome and Forza 5. Games that created the template for the landscape of the current AAA industry by helping normalize microtransactions and premium games near enough their infancy. Remember Horse Armor? That was like the first like big controversy with DLC. That was Bethesda a long time ago. That wasn't Microsoft at the time. Now Microsoft owns Bethesda. But you're gonna talk about microtransactions? How about like Fortnite? How about like mobile gaming? It has really popularized it. How about like EA with the Ultimate Team shit? It's been around for a long time. You're gonna go after fucking Rise, Son of Rome? I don't hear a lot of people talk about, oh man, but that Rise, Son of Rome, man, they really went after us with that one. Woo! Man, that changed things forever. When Rise, Son of Rome came out, oh my god, it changed the landscape of gaming and the way that fucking companies make money off of games forever. Rise, Son of Rome, it ruined gaming. What the fuck? Like, this gets even worse. I didn't read that part earlier. This is making me hysterical at this point. Games that created the template for the landscape of the current AAA industry by helping normalize microtransactions and premium games near enough their infancy. I already read that. Sorry. Even if these games go on Game Pass, the power centralized between these two particularly egregious parties. Oh my gosh. They're calling Microsoft's practices egregious within gaming and monetization. The company that's giving us Game Pass, where we get to play shit tons of games for $14.99 a month on all these different devices, is being egregious with their practices. I'm sorry. It's just like an insane article. Egregious parties could very well lead to even those games on the service having perhaps some of the most audacious monetization we've seen in games yet, especially with how much competition would diminish. So they're claiming that competition is going to diminish so much because of this acquisition, and Microsoft's going to run the gamut and be able to do whatever the fuck they want with monetization. Do they realize they still have to answer to their audience? They still have to make people happy even after this is done. They're not going to control the fucking industry. This person's making it sound like Microsoft buying ABK will have so much power, they completely control everything within gaming now. That there's no other things that are going to happen. There's no other publishers making games. There's no other developers making games. There's no games out there like Fortnite changing the game industry. No games out there like Destiny changing the game industry. None of this stuff. It's only Microsoft. All that matters is what Microsoft does. And because if they get ABK, this egregious company is going to do their horrible stuff and do what they did with Rise, Son of Rome. What? I can't even believe this is fucking published. I honestly can't believe this article got published. Oh my God. This is all without mentioning the effect on developers who are in a risky position. Oh my God. This is about to get worse. It's about to get a lot worse. Activision is still in the midst of answering for their years of systemic abuse as long overdue unionization efforts occur all around them. Infamous for laying off 800 employees across the company in 2019, following record profits, no less. The restructuring that would follow after such a merger would likely result in more firings. Similar to what we've seen with how, according to Polygon, the recent Microsoft layoffs affected Bethesda. It's tangential to their actual acquisition, but the relative closeness to said merger is nothing less concerning. I'm not optimistic for how this would affect those in the trenches. Well, how about ask them? Because all the reports that we've seen is that the developers from Activision Blizzard are really high on this acquisition happening. In fact, they're unhappy with their existing situation and are happy that they're going to have somebody else in charge. How about you ask those people that are actually involved instead of making up the fact that you're worried about them? Do you understand the situation that they've been in the last few years? Microsoft is their savior here. Potential savior. Microsoft, year in, year out, is always lauded as one of the best places to be and to work. And their developers, all this stuff, talk about how good it's been. But yet, we have this person worried about them. Yes, Microsoft did lay off a bunch of people this year, but so did every big tech giant. A portion of those were in the gaming space. Lots of other developers and publishers, including EA, just had layoffs. So yes, will there be layoffs with this? Probably so. Would there be even more layoffs if this acquisition doesn't go through? Yes. So you're going to be concerned about layoffs. How about be concerned about the layoffs that are going to happen if this acquisition doesn't happen? How about you be concerned about the developers that are in the situation they're in right now, and they're going to stay in this situation if this acquisition doesn't happen? Now, whilst this is all clearly bad, no, it's not clear. It's very unclear. It doesn't mean gamers should align themselves with Sony in a matter akin to what Epic tried to do with their war against Apple when they tried to rally their fans to free Fortnite after it was taken off of the App Store. Despite the company trying their best to undo the merger at every turn. From creating conspiracy theories about Microsoft forcing intentionally broken ports to sending... Well, here's starting to talk some sense. To sending the PlayStation CEO to Brussels on claims of COD being an Xbox exclusive, Sony's stance against the merger is certainly agreeable. Nope, it's not. PlayStation said they can't operate without COD. That's not agreeable. But their own plan to buy out Square Enix shows they're speaking this as a fact now. Their own plan to buy out Square Enix. We'll see. Hope maybe that's going to happen. But this person's acting like this is a fact. But their own plan to buy out Square Enix shows that they're ultimately going to play the same game as Microsoft. Yes, Microsoft started it with their aggressive acquisitions in recent years. How about Embracer Group with their aggressive acquisitions, right? Sony's generally been a better nurturer of in-house talent. Oh my fuck. Oh my god. Oh my god. Did Colin Moriarty write this as a fucking anonymous name? Did he make a fake name and write this article? Jeez Louise. But Sony is certainly prepared to perpetuate it. As the game industry faces being carved up into fewer chunks despite already being in few chunks. This merger looks to cause more problems. Microsoft expanding their studio collection will have huge effects on the industry, likely for the worst. I could not agree less with this entire article, except for the 2 sentences when he called out Sony for being ridiculous. And it was funny. The same website. Next, Sony doesn't need Call of Duty. It needs to bring back their own shooters. The same website. You want to talk about clickbait? You want to talk about ridiculous, like, clickbait type shit? This person's name is this author is Jack Peachy. Jack Peachy is a writer of fact and fiction with storied experience across many a medium of writing. He has written articles, scripts, TTRPG rule sets, and books to high standards. He's passionate not only about all blah, 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 blah. All right, so sometimes I like to look at the art author and see what else they've written. No, this is a one-off. This is a bashing Microsoft one-off here. Opinion piece by Ponymaster 3000, aka Jake Peachy. So yeah, I just had to read that article, and I mean, you want to say you just don't like big mergers? That's fine, right? You want to say you don't like big mergers, you don't like acquisitions from big companies and stuff like that. You can say that. But to use the points that this person made in this article is just absolutely ludicrous. I don't understand how these same talking points is perpetuated through the media. This person's probably not really a media person. They probably just wrote something, submitted it to DualShockers, and hoped that it would get picked up as an opinion piece, right? And they're desperate for clicks, just like every website is. So they're like, hey, this one looks interesting. We're going to get some traction on this thing. Let's publish it. So DualShockers, I got to say, I don't know. I praised you, DualShockers, when you were one of the few people that asked about exclusivity on the fucking, what was the game? No, was that PlayStation Lifestyle? I can't remember. It was DualShockers or PlayStation Lifestyle. Baldur's Gate 3. One of them actually went to the devs and asked for answers on that. Besides that, though, the posting articles like this, I don't know. It's just full of blatant, horrible opinions. And it's just sad that this is what these gaming sites have kind of amounted to. But it's ridiculous. I don't know. But anyway, shout out to the chat. Thanks you all for hanging out again tonight. I appreciate you being here. We got 89 people here hanging out. If you like the content here on the channel, hit the like button, share and subscribe. Also, as I told you before we're going live, again, my beautiful wife, Caitlin, has done the hard work, and she has buckled down and revamped our merch shop. And also, I dropped the prices down on everything to be as affordable as possible. And I'm going to show some of that stuff here. If you are interested, again, this is just a shill thing. You know, like some people have asked for hats. So we have hats now, and we have some other cool shit. So I'm going to share some of that stuff here. So this is a little bit of an image here we got on the storefront. We got a Fun Speculation mug. We got the Fun Speculation Network t-shirt and a hoodie. Some of these are double-sided. We got the big logo. We got the small logo. There's 2 different hat options. I got a tumbler. Different cool stuff here. And I want to give praise to my wife, Kaylin, the artist of this channel, for making that work. The link is in the description below if you're interested in any of the merch. And I'll go through in a little bit and kind of show some of this stuff so you can see the 2-sided things that we got going on here. Shout out to J Mac with a $5 super chat. It says, giving these PlayStation dudes attention by talking about their dumb logic is the only thing that they're looking for at this point. I kind of agree. That's one of the reasons I sat on that. I pondered if I was going to talk about that today or if we're going to talk about it tomorrow. But it's just such a shitty, we predicted that this was going to be happening, and with the close as closer to this gets, and it's going to become even more. I think it's going to be more. I think speaking against it and proving the points of how ridiculous it is important for people to know the what's really going on here, because this blatant like worriness about stuff that's just ridiculous is not going to help anything, right? Like acting like Sony can't compete, acting like PlayStation's dead if Microsoft has marketing rights to Call of Duty, even if they're getting the fucking game still and all that shit. It's just dumb stuff, man. I don't know. I see it a lot, but it is what it is at this point. There's lots of awesome stuff to talk about on Xbox besides that. Like we talk about PlayStation. How about the MLB The Show? I've been hooked on fucking MLB The Show 2023 last couple days, and I'm loving it. Again, I used to be a huge The Show player, and I kind of got off of it in more recent years. But this year, I'm like back hooked on it again. I'm excited with the Rangers season. They just swept the Phillies with the opening series. We just swept the Phillies, the National League champions, destroyed them the first two games. This game today, 2-1. So shout out to my Rangers for doing amazing. Yeah, there's been lots of stuff that's happening with gaming, and I talked about it on Xbox Ultimate with the fam the other day, on Friday night, and there's I think we're in store now with this next like few months for like the biggest, maybe like 5 months in the Xbox's history. I don't know if anybody else sees that, but for me, it's kind of apparent because we have so much coming in the next few months that it's going to be pretty fucking amazing. Um, all between all the games, this ABK acquisition happening, and all that stuff, it's pretty damn sick. Um, so I'm gonna bring this up real quick. Let's see here. See if I can't. How do I get to the damn store? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to navigate our own merch shop. But I want to shout out Kate's stuff here. All right, here we go. I'm gonna bring it up here on the stream, so so you guys can see the front and backs of some of the shit that we got. Again, she did an amazing job. All right, so this is all new stuff. All brand new in the shop. We got the logo hats, and these are available in different colors. We got the big logo available in different colors. We got the small logo, big logo in black with white, and then a small logo again available in different colors. Then we got some front to backs here. The mug, you got the FS, and then you got the fun speculation on the back. I think the mug is sick. It's like one of my favorite things. Then you got the hoodie with the fun speculation on the front and the logo on the back. Then this is like one of my favorite things. She made this. You got the tumbler. I'm gonna bring up this shirt because this is sick. You got Fun Speculation Network is what Fuzzy called us, right? I need to make this shit. Sorry, you guys couldn't even see any of that, could you? Fun Speculation Network is what Fuzzy called it, and we got the logos for our different shows here. I know Tony Grasso is gonna love that tidbits part right there. Anyway, I had to show this stuff off because I'm proud of it because Kate did a good job. Appreciate you, babe. Thank you for all that you do for the channel. Yeah, the mug. That's the mug I was talking about. There's that mug and then this mug. Anyway, cool. I had to show it off. All right, guys, that's enough shilling. But let's get back to the top. I see you text me, babe, but I just got a picture. I don't know what that was. I'm trying to see exactly. I just got a picture. He thought that was F Sony. Erotimus. Shout out to Erotimus. No, I got the super chat, babe. If you're trying to point that out to me, I already got the super chat. Thanks, baby. She's always on top of me, trying to make sure that I don't miss stuff. But yeah, I got it. Shout out to J Mac. Thanks for that $5 super chat. Make a Starfield mug. Get on it, babe. Make a Starfield mug. Yeah, I got it. Did I get the super chat? Did I get it, J Mac? I think I got your $5 super chat. Donald J. Trump 69 says Special Nick said on his last pod Microsoft is looking into buying Sony. That would not be allowed. That definitely would not be allowed. No, it's all right, babe. That's all right. Septembros mugs. You guys want the Septembros mugs for Starfield? Kate's talented. She can make whatever you guys want. You don't think I got it? Guys, I read the five. I'll read it again just in case, okay? Because maybe my mind's fucked. But $5 from J Mac. Shout out to Jerrold Mack. Says giving these PlayStation dudes attention by talking about their dumb logic is the only thing that they're looking for at this point. Yeah, Luis Jose said, I remember Microsoft will sell Xbox if they don't get ABK. Yeah, who said that? I remember there was like, oh, that was the person that said the pundits. Pundits. That was Christopher Dring. I think. No, it wasn't Christopher Dring, was it? No, it was somebody else. I can't remember who it was. But yeah, they said industry pundits say that if the acquisition doesn't go through, Microsoft will look to sell Xbox. That was Andy Robinson. That's who it was. Yeah, and I think he blocked me after he made that because I said something. I called him dense, I think. And he blocked me for that. But it is what it is, right? I don't think there's any chance that we're not going to get Starfield in September now, guys. I've seen people saying, "Oh, it's going to get delayed again." For me, here's the thing that there's been some delays the last few weeks, right? We had the Arc 2 get delayed, then there was like Atlas Fallen. Atlas Fallen just got delayed a little bit. Yeah, there are even more delays. At this point, I anticipate almost every game getting delayed. Except I don't think Final Fantasy 16 is going to get delayed because it's like gone gold 3 months before release. Like what the fuck? How do you have like a game they're just done making it, they're just gonna wait to release it for 3 months? J Mac with a $2 super chat says, "Thank you, Caitlin. He got it." Yeah, she was texting me. I saw it and I was like, "Man, I already got that." You know, I didn't know what she was trying to show me. But yeah, she stays on top. She want to make sure I take care of you guys. So I appreciate you for hanging out. OCD Gamer says most games have been getting delayed at least once. Yeah, most games have been delayed at least once. It seems like, except for ones that they don't announce the date on. Like Hi-Fi Rush wasn't. Maybe it was internally. We don't know, right? But it seems like every fucking game, like Forza Motorsport, it looks like it's not going to make that 12-month thing. So that was pushed back. Starfield obviously was delayed. Halo Infinite was delayed a whole year. It could have used a whole nother year. Let's see what else. They've done a good job with most of these other games and not like releasing and not announcing release dates. Like, because we don't know a lot of them. Redfall was delayed. It was supposed to come out last August. It's delayed to this May. But yeah, they've had a lot of games that we're waiting on news from. That's one of the reasons I think the next few months is going to be huge, because not only do we have Minecraft Legends, Ghostwire Tokyo, Redfall, Starfield. Maybe Forza hits around that time. Who knows exactly when that's coming out? We also have the whole Summer Game Fest and also the Xbox Showcase and the Starfield Direct. Plus, we have potentially ABK closing amongst all of this, right? Like amongst all this shit, there's still a chance that ABK closes while we're in this glorious time of gaming bliss. Diablo's launching in June as well. Street Fighter 6 is happening in June. There's other games hitting in Game Pass as well. I can't think of all of them off the top of my head right now. But I'm still happy. Like, I still haven't finished Wo Long. MLB The Show's got its hooks in me. There's so much stuff still coming to Game Pass, like, on a frequent basis, that I don't run out of stuff to play. And we're in for the best part of the last, I think, for sure, the next 5 months are going to be the best 5 months that Xbox has had since the Xbox One launch. Since before that. I would say since the late 360 era, when stuff started falling apart, right? When stuff started falling apart way back then. I would say that this next 5 months is going to be the most glorious time we've had in Xbox's history since like the early to mid 2000s. I don't think that's a controversial statement. Between all the stuff that we just talked about, all those games coming, on top of potentially ABK closing, on top of the showcases, on top of the fact that at these showcases, now with the clean slate, all these games that are going to have been dropping, we're going to get probably more games at these showcases than we've seen in a long time that we're not expecting. Mind you, we also maybe get the Xbox Friends and Family, Game Pass Friends and Family plan announcement finally, and also potentially Ubisoft Plus coming to Xbox. All these things could happen in the next 5 months. All of this. Plus all these fucking games. Capping it off with Starfield at the end of summer. Red Monkey Butt says, what if Final Fantasy 16 and Spider-Man 2 overshadows everything Xbox releases this year? I think those two games are going to get a lot of hype, but you can't overshadow the amount of news that's going to be coming out of Xbox, and it ain't going to overshadow Starfield. There's no overshadowing Starfield. And Forza Motorsport's completely different genre, like different thing. Like Forza Motorsport's going to be the most played sim racing game since early days of Gran Turismo. Forza Horizon, which is an arcade racer, had like 20 million players within 6 months. Forza Horizon had like 20 million players in 6 months. And Forza Motorsport's been absent since 2017, 18, something like that. It's been the longest absence for Forza Motorsport in its entire history of existing. This is going to be the biggest turnaround, like as far as like leap we've seen from Motorsport. Motorsport will not get overshadowed. Starfield is not going to get overshadowed. Starfield, one thing, Spider-Man is only releasing on PS5. Spider-Man is only releasing on PS5. So what about all these PC gamers? What about people that play in the cloud? What about all the Xbox users and the Game Pass subscribers? All these people are going to have Starfield. Starfield's the most wish-listed game on Steam, I think, still. It's going to be a massive launch. There ain't nothing overshadowing that. That's going to be a huge deal. Redfall could get overshadowed slightly, but I think with Game Pass, it's going to get a lot of hype, and a lot of people are going to try it. Whether people love it or not, that's to be seen. We'll have to see. Minecraft Legends is, it's Minecraft. It's going to be a big deal regardless of anything, just because it has a Minecraft name on it. But it's not going to make a bunch of gaming news like for people like us, that talk about this shit a lot. Other than that, though, you still got Starfield and Forza that are gonna be top tier for sure, and those are gonna be big time players. Plus everything else hitting. You have other stuff happening on a Game Pass like Silksong, Hollow Knight Silksong. Don't overlook that. Hollow Knight is an indie darling that a lot of people feel could be like maybe the best indie game of all time. There's several people that feel that way. Shout out to Indie Gamer, friend of the show, friend of the channel here. He like loves Hollow Knight, and Silk Song is like one of the most anticipated indie games ever. Not only that, you got games like Replaced hitting Game Pass day one. We already got games like Atomic Heart, which a lot of people love. Stalker 2 could still hit this year as well. I mean, it's just like insane. The thing is about PlayStation is like, yeah, you got Final Fantasy 16, which is going to be a big game. That's the one game that I want to play this year on PlayStation. Spider-Man 2 is going to be a huge deal just because of Spider-Man. But I think people are going to be over it quick. Honestly, here's the thing about Starfield. I think Starfield's conversation lasts a really long time. Skyrim, people still talk about it today. Like, Starfield will be discussed for months and months and months, right? It is ongoing stuff, mods, all these things happening within Starfield. Spider-Man 2 is going to launch. You're going to have a huge amount of sales. You're going to have a shit ton of people play it. Everybody's going to move on. I got a question from Luis. Shout out to Luis. It says, hey, man, I have a question for you since most likely Playground will still make racing games. How do you think they should approach Project Gotham or Blur if they ever get the chance? Well, Blur was one of the titles that Activision Blizzard published before. And that was originally made, I think, from some of the team from Bizarre Creations, if I'm not mistaken. Blur was a 360 game, and it had like Mario Kart style elements, like kart racing elements, where you had like abilities where you like did stuff to the other cars. You know what I mean, when you're racing. But it was like a more fast paced, arcadey style racer with like futuristic kind of cars and stuff. It was a blast. I loved Blur. Microsoft could do some stuff with Blur, but they're also going to get Crash Team Racing out of ABK. So maybe they do more of the kart racer style. But Playground, I don't know if Playground should go off and do anything with Blur. I think Forza Horizon has cemented itself as one of the biggest racing game franchises ever. So to move on from that to something like Blur would be like a mistake, in my opinion. But Project Gotham has a nostalgia factor and has a name. But they've already abandoned it and aren't doing anything with it. So I don't know if they ever do anything with that. I think they just keep on this Forza Motorsport, Forza Horizon, and maybe add like a kart racer to the portfolio, right? That would be something that would make sense because after they own Crash Team Racing, they own Crash Bandicoot, you could do a lot with all the characters that you have with the entire umbrella for Bethesda, ABK, Xbox, all that stuff. Like you'd have like a chief and a warthog. You'd have Marcus Phoenix driving some stupid shit. You could have a Locust from Gears. You could have like a little dragon go-kart with like Dragonborn riding. I don't know. You could do so much crazy shit with Crash Team Racing. You have Crash on there. You have the typical characters from that world as well. I think that's something that they could do something with. And it's already a respected kart racer, right? Yeah, like, hey, I think OCD Gamer says, I don't think Motorsport will be nominated because there's too many huge games in 2023. I don't think if Motorsport's going to get nominated for like a game of the year, right? I just don't think it's going to happen, especially in a year like this year. I think Forza Motorsport is going to draw a lot of conversation because it's going to be a graphical showpiece and it's going to move the needle this generation for a lot of people when it comes to what's possible with graphics and games. But it's not going to win like big awards at the Keeleys, You know what I mean? If it's going to win best racing game. Like, you could probably put that on lock now. Like, Forza Motorsport, chalk that in for best racing game at the Game Awards at the end of the year. As long as it launches in time, right? But you have this year is so competitive. I mean, Diablo is going to be a lock for contender. You can bet Spider-Man 2 is going to be there. You can bet Starfield is going to be there, right? You can bet Zelda is going to be there. And those are the three real candidates for winning: Spider-Man 2, Zelda, or Starfield. But then you could have something like if Silksong launches, again, that could get tens across the board on a game like that. Who knows? But you could have that. Diablo could be in that conversation as well. And who knows what else? I mean, there's like, it's an insane year. Hogwarts Legacy took the world by storm earlier this year. The conversation has drastically moved on past it now. I don't see anybody or hear anybody talking about Hogwarts Legacy now. But that, for a good solid month, that game was massively popular and talked about. And it scored well. You also have a conversation about, can remakes be in the consideration, because you had 2 remakes already launched this year that were reviewed astoundingly well, and they're really more of like recreations, not just like a remaster type remake. You know, it's way above and beyond something like The Last of Us remake, right? You're talking about just completely building the game from the ground up. So you're talking about games like Dead Space and Resident Evil 4. Who knows? They could be in the conversation. There's a big controversy. I wouldn't say controversy, but there's I had a poll on Twitter that said, can games like that be considered for a game of the year? This poll had like 340 something votes. 54% said no. 46% said yes, because they were like full on recreations. They're like not just a remaster, you know. So I don't know. I mean, this game of the year competition at the end is going to be the most interesting I've seen. Spider-Man 2, is it going to be more samey? You know, I mean, does that hurt its chances to win something like game of the year? Because I don't know. Like, does it move the needle? Is it just more of the same Spider-Man over and over again? Right? Zelda Breath of the Wild. Shout out to everybody who's excited for it. But it looks cool. But isn't it the same map? The same exact world? Like, I was listening to I think who was I listening to? Can't remember who I was listening to. I think it was on Iron Lords today. And they're talking about Zelda and like, how do they get away with like being so long between sequels and completely using the same world, right? I don't know. Nintendo gets a free pass on a lot of shit. But yeah, there's so many damn good games this year. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be nuts. Again, everybody, if you like the content here, remember, hit that like button, share, and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you all. Again, that article I read, sorry, I didn't write it. I would never take credit for that. That I read earlier, it had me kind of chomping at the bit to talk about this stuff. But KT to Goat says Spider-Man will be nominated because of Sony's name, not actual quality. I'm sorry, but sequels shouldn't be able to win Game of the Year if they basically only change the story. For me, Miles Morales was cool, but it was more the same, right? I felt like it was like planned DLC for Spider-Man that they wanted an excuse to have another like launch period game for the PlayStation 5, so they kind of made it bigger and put it out for that, right? And then they still charge $70 if you got Spider-Man remastered on it. Remember that? I talked a lot about it early days of this channel, that they were tricking everybody into basically paying $70 for Miles Morales and or Spider-Man again with the Miles Morales DLC, right? That's just kind of what it seemed like to me. Like, because it was a pretty decent size expansion, but it was still the same. It felt like the same. I didn't get enough out of it that was different to warrant me getting like really excited about the game. I played it and I kind of got bored with it. But I loved Spider-Man. But because of Miles Morales' experience, I am not excited at all about Spider-Man 2. I mean, Venom is cool. I'm sure it'll have a cool story, but like, I want to know like what big is different in it besides just the story. For me, it doesn't move the needle a lot. I mean, I would play it, but for me, Final Fantasy 16 is the more exciting game on PlayStation this year. Just because I like Final Fantasy a lot, and it's been a long time since we've had a big Final Fantasy game that was not the remake for Final Fantasy 7. And even then, it's been a few years. But Final Fantasy 15 didn't hit for me. Final Fantasy 16 looks more intriguing. The last gameplay we saw for 16 looked really good. So I'm more just like excited for Final Fantasy than I am Spider-Man 2. That's just a me thing. And it's weird that something thought I was listening to a show and it made me interested in this conversation, right? Because I feel like Sony gets a free pass sometimes with their third parties that don't hit. Like Forspoken. Like when they have these exclusive deals, I see a lot of the excuses that like, oh, well, they didn't make that game. But okay, in a year where your only big first party game is Spider-Man 2, clearly Sony's idea for getting content on their machine that to drive players to PlayStation is making deals with third party publishers. And they said this early on, and a lot of people said this early on. That was going to be what they were going to do this generation. They were going to invest heavily in making exclusive deals and keeping content away from other platforms to help bring in more players to those games that, like Forspoken was sold like at early on as one of the next big things in gaming, like only possible on the PlayStation and all this kind of shit, right? And they had so much marketing behind it, so much stuff that they were identifying that with PlayStation, right? Kind of similar in a way that I feel like I don't know who owns the IP. I don't know if Sony owns it or Square, probably Square. But in a similar way that Microsoft used to do a lot of times with third party publishers and get that acknowledgement over to the brand, like Quantum Break, right? Sunset Overdrive, right? Those were third party made games that were on Xbox, right? They got the rights to it, but the difference with those is they actually published them, right? Square is the publisher for these games. So that's the one big difference. However, PlayStation is still paying Square for these exclusivity agreements, right? We've seen documents now. We've seen Microsoft talk about it. Lots of people have been talking about it. We saw leaked contracts with their Capcom stuff, with their marketing deals, all these kind of things. So if your focal point for your driving the content for your consumer is making these deals with third party, and your only big game this year is Spider-Man 2, first party wise, then when those games don't hit, that deserves criticism because that's what you're providing to your consumers that year based on what you were forking out as far as your investments, right? Because they could have invested in more first party stuff, but instead they choose to spend that money to money hat third party games. Rodimus, no, I did not like fishing and driving with homies in Final Fantasy 15. Final Fantasy 15 was the worst Final Fantasy game ever made. It was just garbage to me. I'm sorry. If anybody, I know there's Final Fantasy 15 fans out there. It's got a good song in it. Stand By Me is an all-time classic, but that fucking Final Fantasy 15 game was hot ass garbage and didn't deserve to have the name Final Fantasy attached to it. Final Fantasy 16 looks better, in my opinion. But if let's say Xbox only did like for the most, let's say all they had this year was Starfield, and everything else they had was games like Stalker 2 and stuff like that, right? Then we would look at them, and if those games didn't hit, we'd be like, well, what are you doing? Why not provide us better stuff, right? I feel like Sony gets a pass when those games don't hit, like Forspoken. Because people say, well, they didn't make it as Square. Well, they for sure as hell's fucking marketed the shit out of it at every PlayStation show for a couple years. They try to identify it with their brand. It came out, and a lot of people thought it was a mid or okay, and some people thought it was garbage. Some people liked it, but they get no flack for that game because it was made by Square. But it's the only big PlayStation game for first party this year is Spider-Man 2. I don't know. Like, I feel like that deserves criticism. If Final Fantasy 16 ends up being trash, it's not only on Square, it's PlayStation's decision to have that fill up their pipeline for this year. They could have invested, instead of money hatting, they could have invested in more first party years ago. Right? Like, they could have said, hey, we want you to make this game, right? But instead, they're paying Square to put those games only on their platform. Yeah, Big Poppy Mofongo. 15 was horrible, especially the story. It was garbage. It was bad. And I love Final Fantasy. I even like some of the Final Fantasies that a lot of people didn't like. But I didn't like that shit. Understanding 77 says, I was actually excited about Forspoken until the demo came out. Yeah, MR2, remember the tagline, only on PlayStation, you know? Like, it's marketed almost like these games are PlayStation games, you know? And when they don't hit, they get a free pass. I'm not going to give them the free pass. If Xbox has a year like they did last year, we didn't give them a free pass. Steel Rain says, I don't know about garbage. I don't know. I tried to get into it, man. I just couldn't, dude. I love Final Fantasy. I just couldn't do 15. I got annoyed every time I was playing. I was walking around those fields. Felt stupid. I just didn't like it. That car. I hated it. I hated driving the car. I hated the like waiting for the car to get to point A to. I mean, God, fuck. I hated it. I hated it. I just like, I wanted Final Fantasy like to be Final Fantasy, right? And this next one looks more like it's up my alley, even though it looks still like a departure, maybe more of like an evolution, right? Topaz Girl says Naughty Dog's PC port for Last of Us is not getting dragged as they should. I agree with that too. I mean, who's ultimately responsible? Do you blame Iron Galaxy, or do you blame PlayStation for not giving them more time and making sure the quality was up to par before releasing it? Right? Like, you got to look at the person who hired the person to make the game, and they're all that kind of stuff goes along with it. Too much smoke gets put on Xbox, and too much passes are given to PlayStation a lot of times for this stuff. You know, like, where's the needle, and does it move every single time something happens? I think every time anything happens, that needle's moved. It still says, kind of my point with 16, though, it's more of that combat that people didn't like, although it's done by the main team. So there's a bit more hope it will reach more of an audience with the additional visuals. Yeah, I know that 15 was done with those devs, Luminous, that also made Forspoken. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I didn't like it. I don't know. Yeah, where's the 7, Steel? I see Tony Grasso. Tony Grasso says, where's the 7? Steel, where's your 7, bro? He exchanged the 7 for a T for a real T. It's going to be easier to remember how to spell, for sure. Also, Naughty Dog took over the port from Iron Galaxy. I didn't even know that. I will say Ellie breakdancing is hilarious. And if that's the kind of bugs we get, I'm all for Iron Galaxy doing more ports because that shit's funny. But yeah, where's the smoke from PlayStation gamers? No, they don't care. They only care about what's on their hardware, right? They only care about the actual console. Like, anybody else be damned. They don't give a fuck. You know? Like, oh, I didn't do that on my console. I'm happy. When Microsoft launches stuff and it has issues on PC, there's a lot of smoke. Right on, Steel. How's it going, Infinite Umbra? Shout out to you. Shout out to OCD Gamer. What's up? Triz, you know what it is. How are you doing? Shout out to Donald J. Trump 69. Are you hiding right now? Because I don't know what's going on with you getting arrested. I don't know what's going on there. MR2, shout out to you. Appreciate you being here. Big Poppy Mafongo, thanks for being here. Sam Walton, shout out to you. Thanks for being here. Says they've been consistently delivering for years, so when a game misses, people tend to give them a pass. Yeah, you could say that. Or you could say people ignore every miss. I mean, Destruction All-Stars, is that consistently delivering? I mean, there was a lot of people that unhappy with the quality of Horizon Forbidden West when it launched, and bugs with that game too. There's a lot of people that were unhappy with a lot of the games that came out with the quality, but also they felt like they hadn't been living up to the standards that they were used to. You know, but I feel like some other games that come out, they get passes for, and people just like move past it and forget about it. Now I think it's part of who they are because they do have those couple of big games that do hit. Right now, that's what Microsoft's been missing. But in 2021, Microsoft was the publisher of the year. They had several big games hit. They also had lots of big deals hitting Game Pass that year. And they had the highest rating out of multiple titles. Yet, it didn't seem like it, according to public opinion. That year, 2021, PlayStation didn't have a lot. It's like, especially the second half. They had a few things in the early first half. That second half, they were extremely light. They didn't like have anything. So it's interesting to see just the needles always shifting. Right now, PS4 era, talk about hitting on all the strides. Yeah, but I don't consider all these like director's cuts and remakes and all these things that they've been doing to fill up their slate and third-party deals as necessarily like a huge W, right? It just makes people feel more special that they get these releases. But I criticize things like when they charge for these things, like those director's cuts and stuff like that. I don't think that's a great practice, you know, on newer type games, right? Like reselling The Last of Us for the third time. Four times now with the PC version. 4. You had Last of Us on PS3. You have The Last of Us remastered on PS4. You had The Last of Us remake on PS5. And then you have the PC port. Does that deserve hitting on all cylinders? I don't know. I for me it doesn't. I mean, they put out some good games, like Spider-Man was great, Ghost of Tsushima was great. So you want to go talk about into PS4 era, going back that far? Yeah. I think they were hitting. How many times have I bought GTA 5? More than I should have, for sure. But I will say the last time, babe, it was only $20. It was only $20. And it was a hell of a bigger upgrade on that than we got for The Last of Us. That it's still, if you play GTA 5 now, in that newest upgrade, the thing looks fucking crazy still. I can't wait for GTA 6. It's nuts. But I will give 2K smoke for not giving the same attention to Red Dead Redemption 2. Stray remake coming out this year. Yeah, I mean, there's just, I agree. PlayStation makes great games. They make some that I love. Uncharted series, one of my favorite series. Ghost of Tsushima was fantastic. Spider-Man 2018 was it 2019? Was absolutely awesome. I'm not a huge God of War fan. I don't really like those games too much, but I know that I see the quality. I see what's there. Shout out to everybody that loves it. Horizon for me is just okay. That game's not it, right? I would say that's like that's a good game overall, but it's not. I wouldn't say like it's in that like greatness category that PlayStation should be known for, according to them. So I mean, late PS4 era or mid PS4 to late PS4 era, yeah, they were firing. You know, they were doing great. You know, they had so many things. But I also see like people say, you know, like they didn't really like The Last of Us 2. That was a very controversial game when it hit. So it is what it is. I just think they get too much of a pass when these third-party games flop that they pay for exclusivity on. That's what they're using to fill up this year. I hope Final Fantasy 16 is good, but there's other games that they get like that don't hit. Babylon's Fall, right? Exclusive on PlayStation. You can't even play that shit now. It lasted for a year. They took it. They closed the servers. They shut down the servers. People bought Babylon's Fall for PS5. You got fucked. Where was the backlash there? Right? If that game had been on more places, maybe it could have had a better chance. I don't know. That game is probably garbage anyway. But how about Godfall? Talk about firing on all cylinders, right? I kind of like Godfall. Everything they added, especially when it came to Xbox, I played it. I don't know, man. Like they heavily market these things. It's only on PlayStation, only possible on PlayStation. This is what it's all about. They pay these publishers to get these games only on PlayStation, and they come out and they flop. Where is the backlash? No, it's not. It's not PlayStation's fault. It's the developer's fault. Well, when that's your MO this generation for how you're putting content on your machine, for the majority, they still got a hit. What's up, Spider-Man? How's it going? J Gaming 1986. Fire Boss, how's it going? You guys, thank you all for hanging out tonight on another Sunday night stream here on Fun Speculation. Triz, you know what it is. Says Xbox shouldn't go another year without a major release. Where's news about Indiana Jones? They're having lots of major releases this year, so I don't know exactly what you mean by that. I mean, we got Starfield, we got Redfall, we got Forza Motorsports happening this year. And we also, there's even Minecraft Legends, and who knows, there could even be another big one for this fall, and like Hellblade 2. There's some rumors about that, but we'll see if it happens. I don't know, maybe early 2024 is possible as well. But you know, this year's got some big time releases for Xbox, and I don't see that Avalanche slowing down. I mean, they got too many damn games in development. They got so many studios and so many games. And then once this ABK acquisition happens and it actually gets through, they got even more. What I'm most excited about that is not Call of Duty and not that stuff. It's going to those studios, like Phil said early on, and saying, hey, what are you guys interested in making? Let's look at your IPs. What are you looking at? What do you want to do? You know, and maybe get even more big games, right? There was some potential news even about Perfect Dark today that I saw on Twitter. Like Idle Sloth had tweeted this about Perfect Dark potentially using with Unreal Engine 5 stuff, like the meta, like I forget what it's called, with the faces, you know, the metahuman stuff with the faces, and some other tech that people seem excited about due to a somebody's LinkedIn profile. That was interesting. We are going to have huge games like Perfect Dark, Fable, State of Decay 3, um, Avowed, Compulsion's game, In Exile's game. You got Double Fine making more stuff. You know, then you have Bethesda's ZeniMax. ZeniMax Online's got another project they've yet to announce that we're hopefully going to get an announcement on that this year. Maybe. I don't know when we're going to get that announcement, but I got a feeling that could happen this year. We got Roundhouse is making a game that we don't know what it is. Id's making something we haven't heard anything about. We still got Machine Games that does have that Indiana Jones Wolfenstein 3. I mean, some of these got to be 2024. Contraband is a thing that they partnered with Avalanche, published by Xbox. They're still making more Halo stuff, supposedly, that with certain affinity, and that Battle Royale could happen. But there's like, when you count them up, there's like 30 to 40 projects in the works with Microsoft right now. I'm not worried about content going forward. I think that our days of dryness with content is hopefully in the past. Because these studios that they acquired in 2018, 2019, 2020, I mean, next year's going to be 2024. Got Outer Worlds 2 still. Fuck. I mean, there's just so much. There's just so much stuff. Elder Scrolls 6 will be after Starfield. You know, we're going to be talking about Elder Scrolls 6 for years after Starfield launches, because that's going to be what they're marketing next. I think Todd Howard's going to not be excited to mention more about Elder Scrolls 6 when they have stuff to share. It's going to be insane. It's like a fucking flood of greatness, right? All for $14.99 a month, or potentially in the future with the Xbox Family Game Pass plan. 5 family members or friends for $25. That's what the potential price could be. I mean, it's just insane. Oh, I might as well. Also, you don't have to even own a console. You can play on your phone. You can play on a shitty laptop. You can play on a TV with an app. You can play on your PC. And all of it, everything moves over, progresses, cross progression, cross buy, all that shit through this whole ecosystem. It's fucking amazing. That's why that article at DualShockers is like, fuck. Why does that guy that wrote that article that I talked about at the beginning of the stream care about his fucking wallet? Instead, it's a bunch of weird fake concern about the well-being of gaming. So concerned about gaming. I'm so concerned about all these publishers. So concerned about all these publishers and how they're going to make their money with big bad Microsoft and their egregious activities. Come the fuck on. Really? I'm so concerned about the employees that are going to be still under ABK. Like, you're concerned about the employees or you're not. Because if you're concerned about the employees, you want Microsoft to acquire ABK. That was the worst article I think I've read this year. That was almost as bad as there was probably second to the person that said Starfield needs to earn its place in the space genre, because it's too much like games like No Man's Sky and what was the other game that's been in development for like 50 years that's still not come out? That's like, God, what's that game that has that Kickstarter that's like just gone on for forever? That's like this all big, huge space game. Star Citizen, yeah. Like all games like Star Citizen and No Man's Sky. You know, I feel like I think this was Game Rant. Starfield's got to earn its right to exist. Like, what? Talking about fucking Bethesda. Talking about Todd Howard. Tom, I hope we get news this week, man. I see your question. He says, hey, he says, think we get news this week, Mav? Dude, I jumped the gun last week. I think I jinxed us. Because last Sunday night stream, you saw, I was like, I think big news coming this week for Xbox. We had just had the dollar removal from the Game Pass deal. There was smoke out there about Ubisoft Plus happening maybe in mid-April on Xbox. All these things were happening. Now, then we also had friends and family thing happen this week. It was like, what? What's going on now, right? For me, I think there's an announcement still to be had soon about the subscription services on Xbox with Ubisoft Plus and friends and family, right? I want to say I would think they could announce those things before E3, non-E3, whatever you want to call it. It's not E3, I know. Before summer gaming season, SGF. I can't call it that. I feel like if you announce this new subscription with a family plan and you announce Ubisoft Plus coming to your Xbox and you do like some other kind of thing, we also all we're all getting rolled out still updates to the Microsoft storefront, right? Which could have in the back end the implementation ready to go for this stuff, right? Hidden right now that it's not activated until they launch it. There's a reason we're all getting these Xbox storefront updates that are pretty. They change the aesthetics and stuff right now, but I feel like there's an announcement due soon for this stuff because for me it makes more sense to have that not part of the E3 show and have it hit beforehand, so that way everything at the summer gaming whatever hits harder, right? If we already have accepted now, we can have 5 people on a family plan for $25 US or 30 or whatever they launch it at. And if we have already accepted that and have been excited about that, and then we've already now played Minecraft Legends, we've already played Redfall, we've already played Ghostwire Tokyo, we're already all hyped about what's coming now with Starfield still in September. You get these family plan, and then Ubisoft Plus launches, and now you have everything for what Ubisoft has at their show to be even more excited about. I feel like the summer gaming news of just full on games, which is what they've traditionally done the last several years, hits a lot harder because now we get to know how that affects all of us. All these games come with more value, right? When they announced like the 30 games that they announced at the Xbox Games Showcase, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, and me and 4 other people are gonna get to all play those fucking games for $5 a month." I feel like it makes sense to get that stuff out of the way before, and that's why one of the reasons I was thinking it could happen because of the little things that were happening out there, right? These little things that were happening, that kind of made me like get this feeling that we're in store for some news, right? We didn't get it last week. Maybe we won't. One thing on this channel is fun speculation. I don't mind being wrong. I'm not one of those person that's like, oh, I'm gonna have to wear this L and I'm gonna be fucking disappointed and sad all the time because of it. No, if I get something wrong, I get something wrong, right? Like, I'm not a fucking mind reader, right? But we have talked a lot about a lot of stuff that has happened that has come true on this channel. Just because of feelings or like reading the room, right? Pong and I talked about stuff like a year ago that is just now happening. And in speculation, that's what we do, is like speculation. Some people live in the worlds of like W's and L's, depending on what you do. Like I would rather always get excited about the future and what's possible and talk about that than worried about getting stuff wrong all the time. Right? For me, it's more fun to live in that world. Like I live in this, and that's people say, oh, don't get too excited about don't don't get too excited about the Xbox showcase. You don't hype it up too much. I'm like, fuck, I want to be excited for it. And if it doesn't live up to my expectations, I'll be like, okay, well, this is what I didn't like, what I didn't like. But I'm not like, oh, I'm so sad that I hyped it up too much. Oh, I'm gonna have a bad day. No, fuck that. Like, I'd rather live in the months of excitement leading up to it. Luis Jose says, well, Xbox Mobile Store and Game Pass one app. I think maybe the mobile stuff happens after the ABK acquisition. I think mobile stuff potentially gets announced and happens after because they got to market it with something, right? They talk about Game Pass Mobile. I think I think they're going to market it with stuff, and that's going to happen after they get King. Luis Jose says, speaking of speculation, is Disney coming back to gaming? No, I'm just kidding. Disney is big in gaming now, but they're just doing they're just open season on licenses. It's like, who wants to make a fucking Disney game? Come get your license. Here, we got Marvel stuff. We got Star Wars stuff. You know, we got Lucas here handling this stuff. We got Marvel over here handling this stuff. Indiana Jones, you want that shit? Here, make Indiana Jones. You want to make a Spider-Man game? Okay. You want Wolverine? Okay, yeah, go. We got you got fucking Midnight Suns. Hey, that's a cool idea. Go Take-Two. You do it. You got Ultimate Alliance and Nintendo. Yeah, fucking do it. You know, there's like open season on this shit now. How many Star Wars games? Jedi Survivor. You do another one. Yeah, fuck that. Yeah, Ubisoft. You want to make a Star Wars game? Go do it. Ubisoft. Massive's gonna. Yeah, go make it. Fuck it. There's so much shit happening with Star Wars. Skydance New Media, or whatever the fuck that new company is with Amy Hennig. Oh, you want to make a Star Wars thing? Go. Oh, you also want to make a Marvel thing? Yeah, do it. There's so much stuff happening. ZeniMax Online could potentially be making something within this realm as well. We don't know. But Disney's handing out licenses like it's fucking candy. I want Microsoft to go out and I want them to talk to Marvel, talk to whoever you got to talk to and be like, look, you know it makes sense. This is meant to happen. Xbox, X-Men, multiplayer focused game on Xbox platforms. You know what makes sense? Marvel, let's do this deal. Let's get some of our best teams on it and fucking make the best X-Men game that's ever existed. Makes too much sense. Sup 3-bit? How's it going, dude? Micah says, I missed this Disney games during the 16-bit era. Yeah, there was some good stuff like Aladdin. You know, you had like the Lion King game. You know, you had like DuckTales. So much cool stuff back then. Shout out to 3-bit. 3-bit, check this out. Kate made us all new merch, bro. She revamped the store. Links in the description below. We got hats now. Most requested thing is hats. We got hats. We got Fun Speculation Network shirts with all of our shows on it. We got mugs. We got tumblers. We got big logos, small logos, all that shit. I know 3-bit would appreciate it because he's been telling me we need to get hats for a long time. And I've been ignoring him. Yeah, it's a Tumblr, OCD gamer. You got Tumblr, and then you got 2 mugs that we have up there now. And she's gonna continuously work on the shop and stuff. But yeah, I was excited to share because she worked hard on it, and it's really awesome stuff. And I love whenever she works on our channel and does new things. So I appreciate anybody who checks it out. Like I said, we also dropped the price on everything in the shop. So I think the Like the hats, I think they're like um the hats are $24.99. The t-shirts are $19.99. And you got hoodies for like around $30. We tried to make it as cheap as like we could on Teespring. So hopefully you guys like some of the stuff. If you're interested, if not, that's cool too. Again, like any support on this channel is never expected and is always appreciated. But here's the link for anybody interested. I'll put it in the chat. If you just want to browse and check out Kate's creations, you can check that out there. Some of them have front to backs, so make sure you like if you scroll your mouse over it, you can see the front and the back. My favorite things are the mugs, I gotta say. But yeah, I mean, I think Xbox is gonna be on fire this holiday. And this whole next 5 months. Best time to be an Xbox gamer in gaming Xbox history, I think, potentially this next 5 months. Just with the amount of news happening, the amount of excitement happening. ABK deal closing probably in this time frame, with all these games coming out, with all the showcases happening, all this gaming news. And we're in April now, April 2nd. So we got about 5 months of gloriousness ahead of us. Luis Jose asked, did I see the PSVR 2 sales thing? That's a great question. I did. And who could have thought? I Topaz Girl, if I was to bet money on a game from Xbox, it would be either Hellblade 2 or Contraband for later this year. But I don't know. I mean, maybe they don't have anything again until the early 2024, right? But if I was to make a bet, that I would say they have something, and it would probably be Hellblade 2 would be my number one thing. But yeah, let's talk about this PSVR 2 stuff. One of the things I like to do on these Sunday night streams is let you have you guys help lead the conversation here, right? PSVR 2. It's like 270,000 in sales. You remember this? Remember back a few months ago when news had come out, I think it was Bloomberg, had come out and said Sony's dropped their forecasting of sales for the PSVR 2 by half, right? And then PlayStation came out or Sony came out like, oh, we didn't drop our shipment. We're like, well, that's not what they said. They said you dropped your forecast. So what are you saying? Like because they kind of called him a liar, but then they didn't. They kind of made a play on words, right? Well, now it's coming out that the PSVR 2 is selling nowhere near expectations. And who would have thought? Who would have thought this, right? Taking a niche industry, I guess. I don't know, a niche thing like VR gaming, which is, I mean, it's growing some, but it's still an overall niche compared to the bigger gaming market. VR is like this, right? It's so tiny compared to the grander scheme of things. So first off, you have a niche thing. Now you want to take it away from the most popular platform to play this niche thing, and you're not even going to include PC. You're only going to have it on your PS5, not only the PS5. Now, mind you got to have a PS5. It's only I don't know how many is there out there right now, but nowhere near as many PS4s. Right? Maybe 50 million. I don't know. I don't know how many PS5s. Anybody know the latest PS5 sales numbers? Like 50, 60 mil? Is it even that much yet? I don't know. Is it 30 mil, 40 mil? I can't remember. Regardless, only a small fraction of PS4 owners bought PSVRs, right? They had over 100 million PS4s out there. Over 30, Skyo? Okay. They had 100 million PS4s out there plus. And they only ended up selling 5 million total PSVR ones? And those were cheaper. those were cheaper than this one. So now you got a $500 device. Now you got to buy another thing for more than the actual console cost. And then you don't even have that many exclusive things for it that make people excited whatsoever. The coolest thing that we've seen that people liked was the Gran Turismo mode. Is that going to sell out your PSVRs? Here's the thing, a PSV, like VR enthusiasts, a lot of them already have high-end VR devices, and they're playing on PC where there's a shit ton of stuff to play. So you got to really have something to make a make a VR enthusiast want to get that hardware. Now, the hardcore enthusiasts want to try everything, want to try all the new devices, all that stuff. So you're still going to sell some. That's how they're selling what they sold. You got also people that just like to waste money and are like crazy rich, and they just like to buy random gadgets and stuff like that, right? Those people too. They'll sell out. But you're missing the market of people that are like, oh, that looks like a cool thing. I think I'm gonna try it. You know, because there's not enough exciting stuff to draw people in. It's really expensive. And on top of that, you got to own another piece of hardware. Whereas the other VR headsets out there, you already have PC gaming. You can just put it on your PC. You got standalone headsets like the Quest 2. You can just put it on. You can live in that world. VR 2 sounds like an amazing device for VR, but it's still not there to where it's like just overly accessible, right? So you have a niche within the niche, and it's expensive, and without a lot of great content for it. Who could have thought that they wouldn't sell like gangbusters? What did we say on this channel several times that it's not going to sell very well? That we don't know who it's for. It's fine. We still applaud Sony for trying and trying to push the technology, but it's just too small of an audience. And is it too small of an audience to make it worth for them to keep investing and making the games for it? That's going to be the concern. If you spent $550 on this device and you have a $500 console, is it worth Sony, if they only sell a couple 100,000 of these things, or maybe even only 1 million or whatever, to say, well, we're going to keep investing in making games for this thing? They got to be really dedicated. I feel bad for people that end up buying it, that it may not get supported as they had hoped. We'll see. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, I feel like they may end up a couple years from now just kind of like not making new games for it anymore, unless something crazy happens. I don't know. But how many do they got to sell to make it worth a big investment? Because they got to have a return at some point. It just never seemed like a great idea business wise. I applaud them technology wise, right? Business wise, I think they put their money in the wrong place. Because gaming isn't. Remember they were sold, I guess, on this whole meta idea, like that, like Mark Zuckerberg and all these people like were really pushing, like, oh, the future's meta. We're all gonna live in VR worlds, right? We're all gonna live with shit on our heads, and that's how we're gonna live our lives. It's gonna be like Ready Player One up in this bitch, right? Sony was like, this is what it's gonna be like, and it's coming fast. You know, maybe one day, eventually in the future, if shit gets really like crazy around here and technology gets to the point where it's really simple and to do. But it's an interesting technology. It's interesting devices, but to have it set in the way it is and put out there the way it is, it's not going to have mass appeal. But we're not living in this dystopian fucking world right now where there's a mass audience of people that would go out and buy this like they would a PlayStation or a fucking Xbox. It's going to keep growing slowly, you know, and then eventually when technology gets to a certain point, the experience will become so incredible that it'll start to go more into the masses. But is Sony blowing their load too early on this thing? I don't know. Whenever you have a device that you got to have another device for, and it's got its own experiences within that, like, I don't know, you just have too many different, like, funnels, right? That have to be met before you reach your audience. And that's the problem with the market there. I saw somebody say, I'm sick of, I remember seeing this on Twitter. It's like, I'm sick of people saying you need to have a PlayStation to have a PSVR 2. Nobody says you need a TV to buy an Xbox. I mean, really? How many people that own a fucking gaming console or even interested in a gaming console don't have a fucking display of some sort in their house, right? How many people that would be even interested in the thought of owning a gaming console don't have a monitor or a fucking TV in their house? Like, really? Do we have to be that stupid? Like, how many more millions of people have a display of either a monitor or a TV in their fucking house than they do have PS5s? Like, I saw that. I was like, are you really trying to make this comparison? Comparing fucking TVs and monitors to having to own a PlayStation 5? Not only do you also have to have the TV for the PlayStation 5 also, dumbass. It's like, I couldn't believe that argument. I ignored it. I scrolled past it because it was too dumb to say anything to. But I'm like, really? How many people in this chat don't own a TV or a monitor? Is there anybody here that doesn't have a TV or a monitor in their house? If so, I'll be really impressed. Tom, you don't own a TV or a monitor? That surprises me. You don't own a computer monitor or a TV. What do you play your Xbox on? MR2 says, you guys are fucking lying. Understand? No, so you guys don't actually have a TV or a Tom plays on his Tesla. Understanding 77, what do you play your games on? Or do you not play games? MR2, what do you play your games on? Just your phone? It's got mobile gamers here only with some of these guys. The Tesla. Oh my God. Laptop counts as a monitor. Oh, 9.5 gaming. Gosh, man. Yes, the Mavs. I'm in grieving right now. They're tanking. They're in tank mode now. At the Heat, they didn't even fucking try at the end of that game. We all play in our fucking Teslas. You play with a projector? Well, you still got to have a wall, and that projector counts as like a visual imaging device of some sort or whatever. What's up, Bob? How's it going? Etch-a-Sketch? You playing an Etch-a-Sketch? To play through the window on a neighbor's Samsung TV. Like I saw that with the fucking what, like, you have to have a TV to play an Xbox, so that argument doesn't matter. I mean, come on, really? You play with your joystick? Yeah, bro. I mean, the Mavs are the Heat game. That was it for me. I saw the Heat game and the effort they put forth at the end of that game. I know I'm getting off track here with the Mavs here, but like, I got a fellow Mavs fan in the chat, so we got to have our moment here. The effort they put at the end of the Mavs game against the Heat, that was it for me. That was where they're officially done. Like, there's no hope. this year. You're playing on a Hyundai screen. SoCal says, I feel sorry for Doncic. I have some hot takes about Luka right now. I don't know if any fellow Mavs fans would want to hear me, but I got some hot takes about Luka right now. I mean, we could have some Mavs talk if you guys want, because I see lots of discussion here about the Mavs right now. I have two minds. Like beforehand, when we got Kyrie, I was like, oh, this guy's like a knucklehead, whatever. I don't know how it's gonna work out, right? Obviously, it hasn't worked out for the record. But I see the way Kyrie's been acting on the court, the way he's been as a teammate. I see the effort he's been putting in. I see the way he's trying to play really good team basketball. All this stuff. I went to a Mavs game recently. We ended up winning that game after Kyrie has been here, and I gotta say, I'm impressed so far with Kyrie specifically since he's been on the Mavs. But what I haven't been impressed with is not Luka's ability and his scoring ability. That's always fucking impressive. But Luka's attitude on the court, the way he doesn't even hardly try to play defense or close out on guys, the way he's always in the backcourt complaining instead of running down, trying to get back on D. I think Luka needs like an attitude check. I think his ego's up here. I think he knows he's so good and he's great. And I mean, he's amazing. He's like a wonder to watch. Like passing ability, shooting, like driving, all this stuff. But he wants to do it on his own. It's like Luka feels like this is my shit. I'm gonna put the team on my back, and I want to be the guy, and I want to win everything. And it ain't working for him. And I see his teammates giving the effort. Tim Hardaway Jr. put effort every fucking night. Kyrie, since he's been here, I see all these guys. And when Luka sometimes it's like when Luka touches the ball, if he's not the one that makes the flashy pass or makes the play when he's on the court, the guy, I don't know. There's something wrong right now. Something wrong with Luka's mental ability when he's on the court right now with not knowing basketball, but just playing as a great team player. Play off the fucking ball, man. God. Anyway. Worst fucking season. Worst fucking season. I honestly, at this point right now, I like Kyrie more than I do Luka. And I, in a million years, would never said that. My favorite player of all time is Dirk. Dirk wasn't a great defender, but Dirk was in the right place on defense, and he was at least trying to close out on people or had his body in the proper position, right? Luka's effort is ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I don't know. Good news is the Rangers are on fire to start off the season. Let's go. Baseball season's here. Easy to move on past the Mavs when the Rangers are looking so fucking awesome. Dirk is highly underrated. Did y'all know that Dirk was never voted in as a starter? He got to start a few All-Star games because coach's decision or whatever, or like somebody was hurt. But never in his entire career was Dirk voted as a starter. It makes sense if you look at the competition. He had Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, and then Carmelo Anthony and guys like that were there. Like, so it is what it is. underrated, underappreciated, best Maverick ever for sure. But shit, sorry for getting off track. Mavs talk. Yeah, PSVR 2 flop. Forspoken flop. Spider-Man 2 is going to be great, but it's going to feel like Spider-Man 1. I'm most excited about Final Fantasy 16 for PlayStation this year. Other than that, they have literally nothing excites me. Lanzo 86, I completely agree. You know what I miss in basketball? I miss big players that played physical, that rebounded. I miss the old rules. I'm sick of this fucking everything. Everything's like kick out for 3 every fucking play. Hate it. Luis Jose says, Matt, how important MLG is for Xbox moving forward after the acquisition? That's a good question. I don't know. Either Xbox is going to fumble that or they're going to double down on it. Call of Duty League is part of that, and it's still pretty damn big, and they got a lot of traction. You know, they have, it's pretty popular. So what they do with Call of Duty League and all that stuff is going to be interesting. I mean, they got big esports franchises here. I think it'll be used some for like announcements and things like that. I think it'll drive marketing and hype around the brand. These people will be playing on Xboxes and stuff, so it could be pretty big. But I don't know. You know, I don't know. Hopefully, they take full advantage of it. I think they should. Nate Dogg said Dirk was a monster, but he stole that MVP from Kobe in 06-07. Dirk had monster year that year. It was like one of the three players in history to go for like 90% from the free throw line and like 50% from the field and like 40% from 3-point or some shit like that. I can't remember, but he was actually like a monster year for him that year. But that year we got fucked in the first round by the Warriors, and I blame Avery Johnson's coaching on that 100%. He tried to play small with the Warriors and play their game instead of making the Warriors match up to the Mavs. And the Warriors had their number all season that year. I think like on the games we played the Warriors, they made us look bad, but the Mavs won like 67 games that year or some fucking crazy number like that. I can't remember. It was a really high number of wins they had. And Dirk had a legendary season. So no, I don't think he stole it from Kobe. But I think it didn't set as well after the first round exit of the playoffs. Jared Bishop says, I could not care less about MLG or esports in general, but hopefully they treat it right. I just hope we get some more gaming news and that announcements from that stuff. They're going to have a lot that they got to manage properly, right? You got all these new studios. You got Diablo now is a huge franchise, and that game's going to be fucking popular like crazy. People forgot how big Diablo is. But not after this beta's dropped. People remembering how big Diablo is now. Everybody want to talk about Call of Duty this, Call of Duty that, Call of Duty this, Call of Duty that. I'm like, fuck, I'm more excited about them owning Diablo. StarCraft. What are they going to potentially do with the Warcraft in the future? Guess what? They got RTS developers again. Like more. Like what can they do stuff with like some of their franchises with some of these things too? Like, I mean, there's so much potential. I'm excited about whatever this new Blizzard survival game is. They got Hearthstone. They got all these different things, all this shit that nobody talks about, right? Everybody just wants to focus on Call of Duty. Call of Duty is huge, right? But I'm more excited about everything else along with Call of Duty, not just Call of Duty. And Nick says no one cares about MLG. MLG was a big name in the mid 200s. In the mid 2000s. I feel like the MLG name isn't really utilized anymore, but I feel like the esports leagues that exist are a huge part of it. Like the Call of Duty League is still a big deal, right? And I think that is a part of MLG. I'm not sure. I'm going to look up MLG on Wikipedia. So MLG has on their website links to all these matches for these different leagues. There's a Call of Duty league. I just don't think anybody uses the terms MLG anymore, hardly. I think it's all exists within MLG, but like nobody says MLG. You know what I mean? Let's see. I think it's overall. It's pretty much all Activision Blizzard stuff. It's like, but they each have their own names for their own leagues. There's like the Overwatch League, the Call of Duty League, and all that stuff. It exists under the umbrella of MLG. There's like StarCraft. If a new StarCraft comes out, oh my god, that's going to be crazy with competitive gaming. In Korea, there's like all these matches that just happened. It looks like in March from the Call of Duty League on their website. There's a Arena World Championship. A WoW Arena is a thing, I guess, still. I didn't even know there was World of Warcraft fucking... Oh, that was back in 2019. Okay. Okay, so there's Overwatch League. There's Call of Duty League. Yeah, I don't know what else. I think those are the two top ones right now for them. I don't know how popular it is. I never followed esports, guys. Honestly, I never gave a shit about esports. Whenever like Jeff Keighley gives a esports player of the year or team of the year award or whatever at the game awards, I'd just roll my eyes. Luis Jose says, Mav, who do you think the president for ABK that will report directly to Phil will be? I don't know. I think maybe they put somebody in charge there. Or maybe they promote Mike Ibarra because they already have a good relationship with him. I don't know how it's going to be. I think the board will dissolve at ABK. I think that Kotick will be given his money and shoved out the door after a few months. And I think at that point, they'll implement people in charge of it. ABK is so big, maybe they say, hey, Sarah Bond, you want to take charge of this thing? I don't know. Like, too big for just Matt Booty by himself to handle all these different things. So that's a good question. But I think that they're going to have to maybe move somebody over there or promote somebody they trust from within. And I don't know, like, some of those names, I don't know if they're qualified or not. You know, I don't know. Like, it's an interesting question. Because that's a big machine over there at ABK. You know, it's way bigger than ZeniMax Bethesda. Yeah, ready for deal to be done. I'm ready for the deal to be done too. I think, like I said, I think in this next few months, it's going to be some of the biggest news from this thing that we've gotten. I think the deal's going to get done, and that's going to be on top of all the other awesome stuff we have going with Xbox right now. So I'm excited. I'm pumped for it. Well, hey, we've been live for like 2 hours, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you that has hung out tonight. If you do like the content here, hit the like button, share this out, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for checking out the merch shop that I showed off, the new launch, the relaunch of it with all the new stuff that Kate made for our store. And if you like any of it, let me know. If you have a request of something you would like there to be, let me know. But yeah, we got so much shit coming out on Xbox. It's gonna be insane. I can't wait. I can't wait for the Xbox showcase. Again, I think like this year's Xbox showcase is gonna be like monumental. Like I think it's gonna be insane. Separating Starfield ahead of time with it already gives me that expectation that there's gonna be a lot of shit here, and they didn't want Starfield to overshadow any of it. So I hope though, and I've said this before, I don't want them to do like a shortened show because they also have the Starfield Direct. I need an hour and a half, which has been the last 2 years. MO for Xbox. I need an hour and a half show, and then the Starfield Direct. Rayoid asks, does the deal get done before E3, aka Xbox Showcase, or after? I think it could be right around that time. Honestly, I think it could be around that the week before, maybe. I don't know. It's interesting. 95 Games says, am I going to QuakeCon? Possibly. I don't know. It's always been a big PC gaming thing there. Yeah, it's in Dallas. It's usually at the Gaylord Texan over there in Grapevine. And it's usually like more of a PC event. You know, everybody hooks up their PCs and plays together and shit. I don't really PC game. So that's kind of always what I saw it as, but I would like to go in case they announce something. Because they did show Doom 2016 there for the first time, I think. And it was like only for members, only people that attended. So if they did something like that, I would like to be in attendance. Other than that, I don't really want to go and hook up my computer and play Quake. You were there? Yeah, that had to have been awesome. Had to have been absolutely fucking awesome. Again, well, everybody, thanks for watching. You guys rock, and I can't wait to talk more about all this stuff. Hopefully, we get news tomorrow. Hopefully, it's a big news Monday for gaming. We do have our show tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Fun Speculation Podcast. Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We got PM in the PM with my buddy Pong Soul. We had to skip this past week on both of those shows. Monday was my fault. This past Thursday, Pong had to work extra. So hopefully everything goes as planned. We get our Monday night show, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, FSP. Thursday, PM in the PM at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then Friday, Xbox Ultimate Podcast at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, I appreciate you all being here. And you have no idea how much it means to me that you just like to come and hang out and shoot the shit and talk games. So have a good one. And good night, everybody. Enjoy your week coming up. Sunday night is a night where we all look at, oh shit, tomorrow's Monday. You know, but I hope you have a good fucking week tomorrow. I hope it starts off strong, and have a good one. Peace out, everybody.